social innovation for the people through lighting. That is the way we approach sustainability. I believe there is a misunderstanding sometimes, maybe when people talk about sustainability, they think only to the recycling aspect, but it's not. No. Absolutely, there is another word. We focus around 3 key areas of discussion and approaches. Our approach go around people, environment, and of course business.
That's the thing. It's like when you talk about sustainability, if you only focus in the environmental and then you have the gender balance or the training even, and the training is part of the social, then how are you going to sustain the happiness of your employees or the happiness of your stakeholders and the satisfaction? If your business is not making money and you're focusing on saving the environment, well, guess what? You're going to run out of money, your business is going to go down, and you won't be able to manage all of that. And so that balance between social, environmental, and economic is really the foundation of what makes sustainability sustainable.
When you do a lighting project based on lighting calculation, you have to check and tag some parameter. So there are parameters that are there, and you have to follow. I believe that who prepare a guideline need to be a little bit flexible. We don't need to be extremist. Absolutely. We need lighting because we can see each other thanks to the lighting. And we need lighting, artificial lighting, to enjoy the environment overnight. But yes, there needs to be a balance.
A lot of the time it's a safety requirement. There can be policies, but what I'm seeing is that the private sector themselves are now taking the lead on this. Sometimes the change either comes from policy or comes from the private sector. And if the private sector is in tune with it, just like you are, then it becomes a lot easier for adoption in other areas. Like it becomes a best practice. You can always have the legislation and the policy, and the legislation and the policy can only take you so long. But if you don't have the private sector looking at it from an economic perspective as well, it's not going to work. No one is going to be green and follow certain requirements, be it with light or be it with efficiencies, because don't forget, they're all interlinked at the end of the day. Now, companies who are under certain investment platforms or are on a stock market exchange have to report on sustainability. However, there are companies or organizations such as yourselves who have gone above and beyond, because they don't want to just have a report for the sake of having a report. They want to show what they've done, and they want to show the impact that they've done, and they use it as a driver for not only gaining more business, but also for saying, look, we've done the right thing. We have to understand that balance in order for us to be able to drive this forward. There is no way that you will have just policies and legislations and use a stick and expect it to happen. If a business cannot thrive financially, then it's absolutely not going to work. Then you would have a country such as Dubai putting all the policies in place, and everybody's going to say, that's it, we're going to move from Dubai and go somewhere else, and that doesn't serve a purpose.
In the region, the world of lighting has lived revolution basic in the last 10 years, based on the technological innovation, that is the LED technology, that changed completely the face of the industry. I remember the psychological barrier wall that I had to found to discuss on a technical level with consultant and old school, they were not ready to this innovation, based also on typical aspect of Middle East, that is the temperature. We were sure because we had facility test laboratory and everything. We knew that it's going to work. So the only way was to appoint a local university. In this case, we appoint Alain University. They have the facility, and we test fittings in the exterior for 1 year, 24 hours. We collect data. So you should number say, look, and we are confident. This is a process we start in 2012. EXPO is 100% LED.
But that also gives you the capability to build trust, because you did it here. What works in other areas doesn't necessarily mean it works here. And then what you did is build that trust that, hey, we have the numbers, we have the data, and therefore we can prove it works here. When you go to Al Ain and you do a study like that, you're involving the students as well. Studying how you measure is also just as important as measuring itself.
we part of a global internship program that is for the young generation.
Absolutely.
We very welcome community with different universities all over the world, from the Middle East to Europe to North America. We have interns that came and they make their trainings, and I believe the ratio of converted for people that we employ is quite high. I mean, sustainability, this is entering in the vision that is not going to stop tomorrow because there will be a new trend.
Exactly. It's really fascinating to see it from a different lens, because I'm seeing it from a different lens, you're seeing it from a different lens, but the foundation of it we all agree on. I've not met anybody in the sustainability space in different industries who tells me, I'm a tree hugger all the way and we are just going to sit on the floor and not have any materials and not have any lights. And no, everybody agrees on the fundamentals: social, environmental and economic. That's it.
First of all, of course, is to design a light fittings which the majority of the material can be completely recycled. I'm talking about aluminium, I'm talking about from the screw to, so the attention to the design, the modularity, for example, is a big topic because that help to the end of life to recycle the material. The other aspect we look, especially with the LED revolution, is the efficiency, to give the majority of lighting diffusion with the less energy consumption possible. And this is a mix in between the evolution of the LED as a chip and the technology like lenses, reflector that we are using to control the lighting. That make a big impact in the product design. Not least, people forgot the big aspect of the logistic. The fittings need to be produced and then shipped. First of all, we diversify manufacturing plan according to the geographic area. The other aspect, the way we run the factory, all solar panel, so the renewable energy that we use to run our production, this go also from the production circle using liquid paint and everything. Last but not least is to design the packaging of the product in a sustainable way. That means reduce as much we can the use of plastic, use recyclable paper, carton, eliminate as much as we can the instruction sheet level in the product through use of the new technology, QR
code,
This year we decided to not print our catalog anymore. But it's very tough decision because you can imagine we went on the market and we say from 2022 no more printing media anymore, sorry. Media in terms of the product book. Our product book, we have 8,000 code, more than 900 pages, printed in 5 languages, distributed worldwide. The management decided that was the right way to go.
There's so many companies who cannot do that, and the answer is, well, why not? Everything is digital right now, but they still insist that they cannot do it.
We know what we have done in EXPO, and the legacy that we have, that will be there for the next 20 years, minimum. I'm talking about the lighting because we were majority involved in all the exterior common area and the park and everything. This is something that will be there minimum for the next 20 years. And you know, this is a vision from the client, the consultant and the contractor, of course, that accepted quality product.
When we were building EXPO, it was for legacy. The first department that ever opened at the EXPO was the legacy department. When you are thinking of it that way, then you're not thinking it's only for the 6 months. Hence, you want something that will have longevity. And then that is your payback, because you are not building for 6 months, you're building for 20 years or 30 years down the line. Over 80% of the site will stay for legacy.
Our involvement is being to finalize, to be sure that the project was realized as per the consultant expectation. I believe iGuzzini is present in the 85% of all the exterior site on EXPO, in different areas, by different consultants, by different typology of fittings, but for us, yes, it's a big showroom.
We always talk about human centricity. Why? Because it's good that the city sleeps when everybody sleeps and wakes up when everybody wakes up, but also is able to adapt as there's more foot traffic, as there's less people. Now we have peak Christmas season and the city District 2020 is going to come to life, and then things quiet down a little bit, and it creates the mood because people are emotional. Why do they say people get depressed when it's dark? Well, there's a reason for that. So if you have a human-centric city that can be in tune with the human movements and the human balance, then you are creating that emotional connection with where you live. And to me, that's the difference between having a sustainable city and a human-centric sustainable city. And the human centricity is very, very important.
The lighting is energy that go in the space, interact with the material and everything. Through our eyes, we capture this energy and we send this energy to the brain. Our brain elaborates the picture in front of us. This is a very simple way to describe the vision phenomenon. So this is how we can see. It's like a software in our mind. Now, this software is linked to our personality, where you grow, what you read, what you eat. So what for us can be an aesthetic of beautiness, I talk about Italian, maybe it's different from an Arab's. What I learned from this little story is that diversity is important. What I wish is that now with technology we really can adapt. We are entering in the era of connectivity where the lighting in a space, you will be the somehow designer of the lighting around yourself and make as much you can enjoy.
A good friend of mine who is an artist, and I love the way he describes when he puts his things up and he has to put the lighting right on his painting and his work and everything. And he said, lighting should be like a hug. It engulfs you, it makes you want to be part of that space. And I always remember him when he says that, because he said, my painting will be the person you go to, but the lighting should be the thing that hugs you. So I think that that's a beautiful way of explaining the visuality of that intertwinement between the space and the architecture and the art and the lighting. And I think that you're right, it's moving in that direction. And we go back to human centricity. We talk a lot about the trend of human centricity, because after COVID and after being so isolated for such a long time, a lot of people are now wanting to come back to a space or a time or a place whereby you are hugged, you are welcome, and lighting does that if it's done right.